What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 65. Here with my guy, Breton. How are you?
Dizzy. I am dizzy. There is so much friendly football on, so many different storylines, all that fun stuff. We got to get moving on it. But first and foremost, I'm happy to be here with you. How are you doing today?
Man,
Doing
I'm doing all good, man. The temperature is great here in Portugal. And just a quick shout out, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to FC Wonderkid on YouTube. And we want to see some debates down below in the comment section, because we will go bold in this podcast with some of these topics. Barcelona, United, a lot to go for. So go bold in the comment section. And yes, just say your opinions, and if you agree or disagree with the opinions of the boldest community in the YouTube comment section. So, yes. Got that one done, and let's start now with the winners of the Florida Cup. Arsenal, okay? But look, I don't want to hype up Arsenal fans' next level, but I gotta say, Arsenal is doing bits this pre-season. I'm finally gonna say this. There's a clear increase in quality of players, and the standards are so much higher for Arsenal this season. Look, that link up between Gabriel Jesus and Odegaard is special. Those two are playing great football. So if this Arsenal team has no injuries, I'll be honest, that's impossible. We are seeing a great season, but a lot of positive indicators right at the start with Arsenal. So
I'm with you. I mean, the Odegaard, Jesus, and on top of that, you haven't even factored in Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus as well, being former teammates, happy to come in. And I know Zinchenko potentially has a preference to play in the midfield, but obviously in that first start versus Chelsea, where they ran him off the field, Zinchenko was at his familiar left back position. But I agree with you. I mean, there is a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of excitement around it. It's seemingly a clear transfer plan. And they seemingly also have individuals that are nowhere close to their peak. I mean, these are guys that are going to continue to get better, not just over the next 6 months, but over the next, 6 years. And it is a lot of fun to watch. It's just a matter of how good they can get in a short period of time. But man, Bukayo Saka was fun to watch. Jesus getting his getting that goal. But yeah, Florida Cup is the Florida Cup. We are still in friendly season, man. But I really don't. It's Champions League or bust for Arsenal. Right?
Arteta, when he says this of improving the whole squad, I feel like that's the reason why. He has to have expectations that is top 4 or bust, exactly as you said. And in this preseason, I still haven't seen for Arsenal Tierney, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, and Tomayasu. So these 4 players are key for next season for Arsenal, and we still haven't seen them this preseason. And that's why Arsenal fans must be hyped up much more than they were in the past. And I was a critic of Gabriel Jesus, saying that with Tite, he likes to play at the winger, which is factual. Go see, okay. Tite said this, Brazilian national team coach. But Jesus brings excellent build-up play for Arsenal. It's not even the goals with Gabriel Jesus. It's the way Arsenal plays with him on the pitch now. Odegaard, Jesus, Martinelli. There was clear, unbelievable first touch movement and pass. And Zinchenko, low-key at the left. You could see he wants to be in that midfield role, but at left back, as a replacement for Tierney, levels above Nuno Tavares for next season, okay? So this is what I gotta say. Higher standards. This is what you got to see. And a quick shout out, Paqueta won't happen. I know we've said it in the past. There was a possibility. But no, Paqueta, Edu has cleared. And I feel like Newcastle might go for him. So, but yeah, a lot of high shots.
And Tielemans, man. I'd love to see that get, because there's 2 worrisome things here. And I know Zinchenko kind of papers over both of them. But Zinchenko wants a firm role. I don't think he's coming to Arsenal. I haven't spoken to him, but I don't think he's coming to Arsenal to play, Swiss Army knife. I'll do whatever you want, Mr. Arteta. So ultimately, you're still kind of scant at left back if you've got Kieran Tierney and you've got Nuno Tavares, who they're kind of shopping him around for a loan move,
leaving.
Exactly. So, and on top of that, you better wrap Thomas Partey in bubble wrap. So they probably want to see a little more depth in there, or maybe a breakout from the academy. But ultimately, I mean, if I'm looking at it on paper, do I think that they have a team that absolutely should be in the running for Champions League? Well, they were last year after one of the worst starts that they've had in a very, 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 very long time.
True.
They were in the running for Champions League, and they only bottled it later on because, hey, they made an amazing run from relegation fodder. That's kind of a joke because they weren't actually in the running for relegation except for like a small period of time, to literally looking like they were going to lock up that Champions League spot. And if it weren't for that last month of the season, oof. So they still need key depth pieces, but I think Arteta's got him in mind. I'm with you. I'm matching your excitement. I don't know if I'm more excited about them than I am about what Conte's doing for Tottenham, but man, is it close? It is close. And I'll tell you what, just to foreshadow before, I know you have a point there, but just to foreshadow what we're going to talk about at the end of this, and I know you'll put it in the tags, but it's going to be all about like whether or not Jesus has that movement. Jesus is in a place that puts him top dog for the most part when it comes to the biggest attacking threat on the team. Will that translate to oodles and boodles or whatever of goals, which I know a lot of Arsenal fans hope it will, and whether or not he could be in the running for the Golden Boot. So we're going to talk about that later, but before, I'm sure you want to pivot somewhere else in the Prem.
Yes, I just want to say final things with Arsenal is for Arsenal fans too. This is the best defense I've seen in recent years with Arsenal. We are finally seeing with left back, with center back, with goalkeeper, solid options. And a player like Saliba, so that is a youngster still with the ability that he has right now. Expect to see Arsenal being one of the toughest defense to beat next season again. So yes, put down below your expectations about Arsenal, and see if there's anyone disagreeing with that, so you can tell them your thoughts. Okay, and I just got to say before you move on with the transition, doesn't it feel like so long ago now? The whole Saliba drama, the whole Saliba is going to go somewhere else. The whole Saliba is never going to play in an Arsenal shirt. And let's be honest, he hasn't yet lined up in a competitive match yet here. So we still got a little, hand wrangling to do to get Saliba in there. But ultimately, man, that feels like ancient news. Saliba out to pasture and left aside. So I'm with you. It's a young, exciting team. I'm most excited to see if Bukayo Saka can level up again this year. I'm most excited to see that. But where do you want to go next? Well, let's say Arsenal and let's go United. With United, it's Erik ten Hag pre-season, okay? And still, we don't want to say a lot of bold stuff because only in the 7th against Brighton, we will see what's happening, okay, in the Premier League front for United. But we got to say, Martial has been showing good indicators to be in the squad for Man United. But being a starter, I still have my doubts. But to be in the squad of Man United with Erik ten Hag, he's proven himself and he deserves it. So, with United, it's the preseason. For what Erik ten Hag could do, I feel like he delivered, okay? And for Man United fans, you have to be excited with what you're seeing from the manager. From the manager. So there's strict rules. You got to go with them. And Ten Hag is the decision-making of United right now. And we wanted to see that. So that's a good start, I reckon.
That's a good start. But there's also another decision-maker. There's two chefs in the kitchen, buddy. Right? It's not just Ten Hag. Right now, there absolutely needs to be resolution on the Cristiano Ronaldo front, because the only reason we're mentioning Anthony Martial, hopefully going back to his 2019-2020 form where he hit for 17 goals, 7 assists, he would have been 4th in the Golden Boot race last season if he had 17 goals like he did in the 2019-2020 season. But ultimately, we're not even talking about Martial. if Cristiano Ronaldo, the other chef in the kitchen, if you didn't get where I was going with this, if Cristiano Ronaldo isn't necessarily pushing for a move out or a loan out or whatever the hell's going on, and I got to ask you just up front.
Yes.
Up front. This has to be resolved in the next 10 days, does it not?
Fact. It will be next week. We will have a decider for Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'll be honest, anything can happen. But a loan deal, I feel like it's the best deal for Ronaldo, respecting, Man United, because they didn't respect Ronaldo with the team that they put for him. Let's be honest. He must have been promised something else, before joining Man United. But having a loan move that guarantees that rebuild being successful, I'll be honest, the only thing Ronaldo wants right now is Champions League football. And one thing's for sure, that's what he's got in mind right now, So, I just feel sorry, man, for Man United almost,
I just wish we had a little more specificity on what it was Cristiano Ronaldo was expecting with a new boss coming in, knowing that Rangnick was not going to be held on to, and Oli previously to that.
It was Oli when Ronaldo came.
That's all Ronaldo wanted? That was the straw that broke the camel's back, or what?
No. I just believe that what he was promised as a project wasn't showed up, and even in the transfer window, I'll be honest, I like the moves for Man United as Malacia, Eriksen, those type of moves. But Ronaldo, though, he doesn't like this chat about Frankie De Jong, I'd say. You know what I mean? So I really don't know what's the mindset, man. And I feel like anyone that's reporting on Ronaldo, it's very hard, man. You got to be very close. And this man still didn't make a decision. Ronaldo hasn't made up his decision if he's not back at Man United. Or he hasn't presented with the decision that makes the more sense, in his view, for his career. So
right, but the nature of being the most followed person on the planet means that I get there's not whether or not people can actually get in his head, right? Whether or not it doesn't stop people from reporting on him. People are still going to report on him, whether it's what he had for dinner,
definitely.
Or it's whatever. They're still going to report on the most followed man on the planet. So ultimately, whether or not he shuts up and says nothing, it's almost as if he's saying something by saying nothing. And it leads all of these vultures, essentially, to go out there and put words in his mouth. So ultimately, whether it's clearing it up, whether it's taking the loan, but you and I were talking about this previously. There aren't many destinations for him to go. Not because he's not a legendary, striker, legendary player. Ultimately, because when you're that public, even though he's private, but he's also public, right? Just being the most followed man on the planet. When you're that vital to United basically not going down the toilet last year, and ultimately how many years he might have left, right? When it comes down to it, it narrows things down. It narrows things down for him, and he wants to maximize the most out of his final years. And I wonder if there is a twinge of regret in him in terms of his decision-making over the last couple months, maybe not giving the space to Ten Hag that was needed, or not giving the leeway to Ten Hag that was needed for him to maybe start, I don't know, piecing things together. It's not going to happen overnight. I know United has the clout to do it, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Well, with Ronaldo, next week, I feel like we will have answers and we will know what is going to happen. But with United, we got to say this too, man. It's Ronaldo, whatever. They need to get a midfielder, man. Regardless, Man United have to. And if it's not Frankie De Jong, they need solutions. And a quick shout out for me as a solution for Frankie De Jong at Man United would be Sergej Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio. A 27-year-old that I have no idea how he is still at Lazio for what he brings. That Serbian midfielder is so underrated. Technique, goals, assists, whatever. So if Frankie De Jong doesn't happen for Man United, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic would be my shout-out. But whatever, they have to get a midfielder. Just have to, okay? And a striker or winger. That is the other option. That before the season started, Fabrizio even mentioned they're 100% getting a striker, Man United. Yeah, right. Look, they didn't prep for that, as it seems, I'll be honest. Or if they did, Erik Ten Hag wasn't happy with the options presented to him. So I'm very curious to see whoever comes at winger forward for Man United because they definitely need an added piece there. And again, you said Anthony in the past, and it will gain news because we've seen the pattern. Malacia knows Ten Hag. Eriksen knows Ten Hag. Lisandro Martinez knows Ten Hag. Whoever comes next this transfer window most likely knows Erik Ten Hag too. So this is what we got to see. I'm curious, man. Like, let's see.
And that transfer policy is probably the best way you're going to right the ship right away, although it doesn't scream like we're going to be world-class day one. Right? But it will right the ship. It will get it's like, a new politician coming in and bringing his regime in. Essentially, you're bringing in people that know you, that know what you what is expected of you, and works from there. And with that said, Donny van de Beek can barely still find a game. So regardless, I know he did. Did he start in yesterday's friendly?
Yeah, but I like that shout to call out people that were saying Donny this, Donny that. Donny has to fight for that position, and it won't be easy, okay? I feel like he will make it his in October, November, while the season is on. I feel like there will be doubts until then, but Donny, I'm a believer, man. And just so I don't forget, with Frankie de Jong, I'm not saying Frankie de Jong won't happen, okay? I do believe the most likely destination for Frankie is still Man United because of all those hours they spend negotiating. Come on, they can't go for nothing. But what I can say is Man United could, I'm not saying that they should, but they could go for Memphis Depay with Frankie de Jong at the same time. And that would be a solution for the problem forwards. And for Depay, he wants to clear the past at Man United, which he's seen as a mistake, I'll be honest, okay, from PSV. And at the time, getting the number 7, that was bold expectations. But being one of the key pieces in a rebuild at Man United, he could not salvation. He's got an unbelievable career at Lyon too. But Memphis Depay is very judged still, okay? And he seems the best part of his career being the national team. Club level, I feel like he could go bold. So that's my shout out for Man United. Because there's no options forwards. There's no options.
No. And the window is rapidly closing for there to be anything. But, man, De Jong, that whole situation. I mean, at some point, listen, I know these players are going to make more money than most of us pretty much most of us collectively in our lifetimes. But at some point, I almost feel bad at being, Frankie de Jong being the pawn on the chessboard that Xavi and Laporta are just moving around left and right and like slapping him in the face with words. I mean, Xavi's words about like, hey, I greatly value Frankie de Jong, and I value him more as a center back. Exactly. I think that's the best place. But also, we had some moves on the table. We also have financial fair play. Well, if you're talking to Laporta, I mean, I don't care if it's 15 levers or if it's 3 levers, they're going to hit all levers they'll spend as much money as it takes to remain relevant and in the running for a Champions League. So who the hell cares? But I don't know what the heck's going on over there, and that's another thing. If you want to talk about trying to figure out what's going on in Ronaldo's head, nobody knows what the hell's going on over there with finances. So most people just throw up their hands and say, "I just want to see a really nice Classico. I want to see this. I want to see that." Ultimately, I don't know what the hell's going on. So I didn't mean to conflate United and Barcelona right now, but it's because Frankie is that missing piece. He's that middle ground, that pawn in the game that literally, I'm going to say it, I think the kid's getting mistreated.
Frankie de Jong. It's the salary, I'll be honest. I feel like he's negotiated already with Man United, but it's just the missing salary. The 17 million is the problem. That Barca
and Champions League.
And Champions League too. But I'll be honest, Erik Ten Hag, I feel like if Man United are so invested in Frankie, it's because they've received a green light from the player or a minute, just a hint, because that would be embarrassing if there was nothing on that. So people, put down below your thoughts about all this Man United propaganda and what's happening. Put down below your thoughts, and any disagreement, answer the comments. We want you people involved in the community. So staying at Manchester front, okay, just to go to City fast, I gotta say, by the day, it's not because of the goal against Bayern that I'm going to say this, but Haaland, I have growing expectations with Erling Haaland, okay? And just right now, it's really hitting me that Guardiola, okay, one of the best developing coaches in history, with players like Kimmich that we've seen go from rags to riches almost. Imagine what we're going to see now with Haaland. An attacking player. That first touch, I know we're going to see a massive improvement in that front. And technique-wise, Haaland will be levels. And I love to see when Haaland says, yeah, Guardiola, he's a bit crazy. So
I know. I love that. I love that.
So the craziness of football geniuses are getting to Erling Haaland. And that is the influence that we want to see in football heritage, man. A player like Haaland will make the difference, not just in football history, but in the culture of the world, man. So if he's successful, he'll be inspiring a bunch of kids of the next generation. So I'm dying to see what's happening there.
Yeah, but there is a variable here with the Haaland capture, right? This is probably the obviously the most informed 9 that they've brought in since Kun Aguero.
Fuck.
Right? And when it comes to that, we know Aguero took not a full year, not a full season. He didn't necessarily hit the ground running like Aubameyang for Arsenal did. But obviously he followed that up with like 2 21-goal years. Yeah. I mean, he was killer, right? And they've had to play a different way essentially since Aguero moved on, right? They haven't necessarily played with like this really unadulterated 9, and now you bring back this 9, so there's a variable there. It doesn't. My guess is that there's going to be no hiccup along the way, but you're still going to need depth for Haaland, right? Because we do know that
Alvarez.
This guy is, well, yes, Alvarez, but you've got, and he's still relatively unproven. We have to remember that, right? He hasn't played on European soil yet, and sometimes it doesn't translate. I get it. Him at River seemed unplayable at times, or unmarkable, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
But Haaland's right. The biggest worry for me is just if he stays healthy. And if he stays healthy in his first season, the Premier League is a harder league to play in than the Bundesliga. We know that. But also, this is a gentleman that's coming in that is already top 40 all-time goal scorer in the Champions League history. Okay. He's done it at the biggest stage, and he's 22 years old. So there's a lot of like, is it 100% prudent to sit there and think that there's going to be a transition period for him? Yes, it's 100% prudent to say that. But this is also Erling Haaland.
Yes.
So we'll get to it later on, but I'm wrestling with that when it comes towards predicting my golden boot. But yes. How Haaland fits into the system is absolutely everything. And I'm 100% worried for City for one reason and one reason only. They haven't made their moves yet to bring in the depth necessary to compete for a 38-game season in the Premier League and all the other competition fronts that they currently got. Cucurella's not done yet.
I feel you. It's true. It's true. And you're pointing out something that must be pointed out, that City must do moves in Cucurella. One of them, definitely go crazy on him. That has to happen. And Brandon Williams is reportedly Graham Potter's decision to replace. So, yeah, just wanted to say that. And with Guardiola, but this is what I got to say about all that with the rebuild of City. Rebuild. It's Guardiola has spent $1 billion at Man City. And the only player that was before Guardiola came was Kevin De Bruyne. So the expectations are world class. And that's why anyone that comes or stays, from the loan coming back will have those expectations. And I say this because there's a player at Man City that I am still not sure. I don't want to say to the listeners he's going to be a starter, he will be involved, but I've got good hopes on this player, and it's Kayiki, Kayiki from Man City, the winger, speed-wise and dribbling, he's ready. My only doubt is physically, but I see indicators that Kayiki is bulking up at Man City, and if he is in form, he's a great rotation option. Just like Cole Palmer, I hope he's a rotation option too. But I understand it's a lot of responsibility to put on the shoulders of youngsters and a team at Man City that wants to win the Prem and the Champions. But I believe in them, man. I believe in those two. So.
I actually would love to see it.
Mhm.
Obviously, though, if it doesn't work out, or if City goes on the run of worst form that they've ever had,
Mm.
it's going to be an indictment on their youth academy, and we
True.
obviously don't want to see
Fuck, it's
that
true.
too. But you have seen, and I wonder if he's posturing, if Pep has been posturing for maybe a longer battle for Cucurella
Mm.
than he expects, because he has been touting, as he should, the 19-year-old left back, Josh Wilson Esbrand, has been saying, oh yeah, we got a player on our hands. He's very good. He's done everything I've asked of him. He's taken leaps and bounds over this preseason. He's
Yeah.
really impressed me. So maybe he is willing to kind of start the season with kind of I wouldn't call it scant, but definitely like a smaller depth chart. That'll be a really, really interesting thing. And maybe it doesn't even matter if you've got Haaland getting 10, 15 chances a game. The guy's going to put a whole bunch of them away. It's
a backup though, that what we're talking about. This is like we're saying it's a problem. It's a backup still, because like Cancelo at the left is the number 7 too. So I get you though. But if again we say that the City expectations are champions and Premier League, and that's why we're being so perfectionists about them. So people, put down below your thoughts about Man City. What does Man City need, and what should Man City expect, okay? The transfers, okay? What should we see? And Calvin Phillips too, what a transfer that was. So who would you want to highlight now in the Prems, just so we end it up?
Well, yeah, there's three teams here that we have talked about piecemeal, but we really haven't delved into it. The first one, I'm going to start on a negative note. How did you feel? And I know, we're not Everton fans necessarily, but how did you feel when Frank Lampard threw out the quote saying, the players must be up for the fact that they have to fight to play in the team? I don't know what's going on at Everton right now. I honestly don't understand it at all, but there's nobody that's necessarily been in the door. They got rid of their most exciting center back prospect, although they have Tarkowski and they have Michael Keane and they have basically the same guys they've had except for Tarkowski. Recently, they finally got rid of Cenk Tosin, right? They brought in 58 million from Richarlison, but then they lost 4-0. And yes, it was a friendly in Minnesota. I think it was in Minnesota. They lost 4-0 to Minnesota United. And before you know it, Frank Lampard is basically saying we're going to be dragged into a relegation scrap without saying we're going to be dragged into a relegation scrap. And at what point, are fans asking for more, or are they just kind of like, is everybody stunned to the point of inaction as it stands?
With Everton, I just want to say, like, Alan is a very good player that's there. Anthony Gordon is a very good player that's there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he's in form, he's a very good player there. So the expectations are they need a proper manager to stay in the Premier League. I'll be honest and say exactly that. Okay? Because Richarlison was pulling the strings more. And without Richarlison now, Everton fans be worried, because I ain't seeing the solutions. Personally, me. And I believe they will be fighting in the relegation battle. Because yes, there is other teams in the Prem making much better deals with a budget that is less than Everton. And that's the crazy part, man. So just shows how good Ancelotti was when he came to Everton, okay? And when he's left, this is what it's gone to. Sorry, Jesus.
It's absolutely stunning to me that no holes have been filled. They're going to be lining up with Iwobi. They're going to be lining up with Demarai Gray. They're going to be and Demarai Gray, I think, has been. We've said this previously. He's been phenomenal for the price they got him for from Leverkusen. And of course, we love Ben Godfrey. We love the fight of some of these players, but collectively as a team, it's like when you look at that roster, it's a whimper. It's an absolute whimper. Anthony Gordon is the only one, but I don't think Anthony Gordon's ready to go, double-digit goals, double-digit assists, and put this team on his back.
One of them. I feel like
he is one of them.
Yeah.
But then you do the flip side here, right? And you look at a team like Southampton, who I don't know, in one breath they look like they could be a top table team, and in another breath they look like they're the worst team on the planet when they're getting drubbed 9-0, 7-1, 6 whatever at least once a year. But listen to this: the average age of their signings, and there have been 7+ of them. The average age of their signings is 21.
Love it.
And you've got Gavin Bazunu coming in to fight with McCarthy, to fight with they brought another guy in, Matush Lees, to fight with him for goalkeeper. He's not even the standalone starter yet. They just brought in a guy that I'm insanely high on, but he's going to take some time. That's Sekumara, 19 years old. They spent 13 million euros to get him from relegated twice Bordeaux, financially troubled Bordeaux.
Well, yeah.
They went and they raided not only Manchester City for Bazunu, they also threw 12 million City's way to get Romeo Lavia, who I think is a ridiculously first-class prospect, and is going to be pretty great. They brought in Armel Kotchup, one of the best young center backs in the Bundesliga for one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga, and they're reportedly ready to throw another 20 million euros at Manchester City for Liam Delap.
Whoa!
That's
a good deal.
I know they have money because of all the times they've sold off before they have proper replacements, good players. But ultimately, Southampton, I know you're building for the future, or are you? Like, what is the transfer strategy here? Is it just to get the highest that you can, like get mid-table? Is it to then I really don't understand. So they have spent a whole bunch of money on unproven prospects that they're hoping every one of them turns out to be Tino Livramento. That's 100% their transfer policy.
And let's be honest, they are moving cheaper than a team like Leeds that was scrapping the relegation battle. But the difference is a player like Rafinha left for the amount he did. But still, Southampton is doing business with the money that they are given, and I love to see it. And I want to highlight on the Premier League front now, Scamacca. Like, we're saying that United need a striker, this, that, and the other thing. And it seems that West Ham have secured Gianluca Scamacca, and that is the best deal in the market that they could have gotten, in my opinion. Armand Broja would have been great too, but Scamacca, for first-team football, I feel like he will give those guarantees. Being an Italian national team player too, that will put his stock much higher. And so interesting, man, that he chose West Ham of all the teams that were interested in him. So living in London, that could be a big factor too. But Premier League football, man, with David Moyes, Scamacca, I am dying to see that. So
and David Moyes is the key here, right? Because when they brought in Sebastian Haller, I'm not entirely sure that David Moyes wanted Sebastian Haller, right? And Haller sat on an island and obviously couldn't score a goal to save his life for the most part in the Premier League. Okay, and then we all know what he did after that. But ultimately, I believe this is David Moyes' signing. This is, they have outbid a bunch of cash-strapped Serie A clubs to land Gianluca Scamacca, and they've paid. They've probably overpaid for Gianluca Scamacca, but it probably is a fair price for how this market has been going.
36 million. So you don't see strikers that are available for 36 as Scamacca. So I agree for this market.
But they outbid PSG too. You know, I mean, it really comes down to the fact that PSG had a ceiling. PSG, who will spend whatever they want.
Same on Ekitike.
On whatever.
The same amount.
Right.
So there was a decision there of 19, 23. And I agree with you. There is doubt still with Scamacca. It's just how he comes. And definitely, I'm just going to highlight another Premier League transfer too, just like West Ham. I'm going to say Nottingham Forest, man. They are going bold with these deals, okay? And the right deals too. But we're going to highlight Jesse Lingard, okay? And what were your thoughts on that, Breton? On the Lingard deal?
I think Jesse Lingard started out in his club pursuit thinking that he would go to a club, hands down, no problem with Champions League. And I think he then realized as things progressed that what he was asking was way too much. Well, enter Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest has become the Fulham of this particular, the Fulham of past for this particular Premier League season, where you get a bunch of money when you get promoted from the TV rights, and Nottingham Forest has had no problem spending it. I mean, they've already spent 85 million, and that's not even factoring in the wage bill that Jesse Lingard is going to take up there. So, hey, it's the cherry on top for Nottingham Forest that could either bust because none of these guys coalesce and become a team, or they wind up upper mid-table and they become the future Brighton. But Jesse Lingard, in my opinion, for 1 year, right? You said it's 1 year. It's 1 year. High wage.
1 year.
It makes a whole lot of sense because he's going to give you a lot of oomph in that midfield. But man, they're all over the place. And they brought in one of the top Bundesliga young scorers in Awaniwi, who used to be a Liverpool product, if I'm not mistaken, but hit for a bunch of goals in the Bundesliga at Union Berlin. Brought him in for 20 million. They brought in 4 different fullbacks. Nico Williams for 20 million, Bianconi for 10, Toffolo from Huddersfield, Omar Richards, who's basically a Reading player. Let's be honest, he barely played for Bayern Munich. He's basically a Reading player still. They spent 80 million plus on a bunch of players to improve all up and down, and I still don't know whether or not they're going to surprise. And I still think their most exciting player is Brennan Johnson. So we'll see.
I'm going to go with what you said there, and I completely agree with you, Breton, that Lingard hoped for better options clearly. And if this man is getting a 1-year contract with Nottingham Forest, it's because Lingard believes next season he'll be playing for a European giant, because we all know he refused a 3-year contract from West Ham for 150,000 a week, and he accepted the 1-year deal of Nottingham Forest with 200,000 a week. So but it's an historic club, but you know what I mean?
Everybody loves the tricky trees. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, Lingard has to put up numbers in order. He's auditioning for big Champions League clubs, and if he doesn't, I don't know what stat line would actually be acceptable, but I would imagine it's no less than 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists.
I feel like what we saw at West Ham on the loan, that's what we got to see to at Nottingham Forest. And the only difference is Lingard will be a free agent after that season. So he will have a huge say wherever he goes. I could see, look, this is not a final, this is just a quick prediction. Juve, just going, Pogba knows him. Pogba gives a good shout out on him. Juve pays. You never know what can happen. If they paid for Ramsey as a free agent, I could see Lingard in the future. You never know. So, I feel like that's Lingard's mindset.
Yeah. And the funny thing is Juve is trying to boot Ramsey out as it stands to make a little room. Who knows? Maybe for Lingard in the future. But no, I actually do believe a move to Serie A for Lingard would do wonders. I think he would Tammy Abraham the crap out of that. So
that's a good one. I like that one. Yeah.
We'll see. But I don't know. Premier League. There's a lot of deals left to get done. And I mean, I can't wait till we do our prediction thing, because it's so up and down. Well, obviously, we know the top 4 or 5 are going to look whatever, but there is good groundwork laid for some of these clubs to really surprise.
So yeah, people, put down below your thoughts about the Premier League. What did we miss? What did we didn't talk? And the predictions. I want to see predictions down below in the YouTube comment section, because I will be answering those bold predictions that you have in the Premier League. And we mentioned fast Tammy Abraham. I loved how you said that one. And in Serie A, lots of bold moves are happening. And I gotta say, I am hyped up to see Dybala at AS Roma link up with Tammy Abraham, coached with Jose Mourinho. And I'm not the only one hyped, because Dybala was the player with the most sold shirts since Cristiano Ronaldo, in Serie. Dybala, at AS Roma.
Was it more than Ronaldo or since
in 1 day?
Ronaldo?
Since
in
Ronaldo.
1 day, okay.
In 1 day. 1 day.
Yeah,
more than Ronaldo.
I believe it.
The shirts. So that just shows for Roma, Dybala is so important. And another thing I got to say, he rejected the number 10. He rejected the number 10, and he said, I will have to work for it one day. Maybe I'll wear it one day. I'll have to work for it. So Dybala has respect for one of the greatest players in the history of the game, Francesco Totti. And it's beautiful to see the loyalty of Totti getting these kind words at Dybala that deserve all the respect that he can get to the most iconic player of Roma. So I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped.
And let's be honest. Jose Mourinho was pretty straightforward when he said we're in a challenging position in this transfer window.
Oh yeah.
And when it became clear that other Serie A giants weren't opening the door for Dybala, it became clear that this probably was going to be the jewel, to use, because his nickname, the jewel on his crown for this transfer window. So I am very, very, very excited to see Dybala under Mourinho, and more exciting to kind of set you up nicely. They did get, I still need to see a conclusion to the saga that is Nicolo Zaniolo wanting to potentially leave, right? But maybe he stays with this signing. Maybe he stays, and you've got Nemanja Matic. I know you're very high on that, correct?
Definitely,
very high on that.
Because Christensen, for me, I like him, but he wasn't that guy that Mourinho needs at that 6th role. And Matic will be elite with Mourinho next season. I can already say that prediction. I really believe that he will be that guy, because Matic is a player that Mourinho is really fond about. And another player that I believe is very good if this move happens, I see reports on that, would be Erik Bailey going on loan to Roma too. And if that happens, I'd be hyped up. But just so I end up, AS Roma fans, you got to be hyped with the link up of Tammy and Dybala. And there's another thing too that you got to be hyped. Spinazzola full season 2, okay? And this is what is going to be Roma's title challenge season that we're going to see from a ton of years in the past that we were promising, okay? Now's the time that they will attack. And Mourinho knows it. Mourinho has pressure on himself because he won a European title, Mourinho knows. And bringing a player like Dybala is what he loves. The whole squad is put on pressure. It's like they are going to be watched now. The whole world will watch Roma. So
they are. And it is amazing to me, though. It feels in this transfer window, at least so far, like a lot of these Serie A clubs have gotten priced out, right? And they have gotten priced out of big moves. Some of the biggest moves that they've made have been obviously frees, like Pogba to Juventus. But also, like Inter Milan, you can tell they're still cash strapped. You can tell Inter is still cash strapped, or Suning just doesn't want to open up any of the purse strings because they're cash strapped. But ultimately, they're bringing in Lukaku on loan. I know, large wage bill. They're bringing in Asllani on loan with a possibility to buy. They're bringing in Bellanova, who, by the way, completely underrated. You're going to see he's going to be one of the breakouts of this particular season. They brought in Mkhitaryan on free. So Inter is like, they're going to remain relevant solely because of that Lukaku signing, right? They will score goals. They've kept Lautaro. They're going to be great. But around them, you can tell that the only two that are willing or able to spend a lot are the AC Milans of the world, still trying to get to Ketelaere. Haven't been successful just yet. And to be honest, can't compete with a Leeds United right now in terms of actual upfront transfer fee because
40 million.
The Premier League's going to Premier League. That shows you how massive an economic giant the Premier League is. But also, let's go to Juventus, because I got to say, on paper, in terms of what they've brought in, they just got their piece. They got at least one. They probably need another.
I agree.
But they got one of their pieces to go with retaining a whole lot of really impressive players. Juventus, if they can get one more defender, and I'll let you talk about the one they got, they are going to be, in my mind, on paper, the favorites for the Scudetto this coming season.
I might go bold with this. I disagree with that. I feel like Juventus has a ton of players that is still doubtful, man. I believe Di Maria obviously is a home run. Pogba, I am doubtful on how good he will be. Hopefully he will go bold. Have
you seen that bromance forming between McKennie and Pogba? It makes me so happy. It makes me so
I have
happy.
to ask you: do you believe McKennie is the best American player playing in Europe right now? Allegri said it.
I think that there's an absolute element of truth to that. Yeah, I would say that if he was starting to become exactly that, if not he was already that before he broke that damn metatarsal near the end of last season, and he was starting to play incredibly well for them. Allegri was singing his praises week in, week out. I honestly do believe, and I still believe, Weston McKennie is going to be one of the largest reasons the U.S. is either successful or unsuccessful at the upcoming World Cup. But him, if he can form a bond in the Juventus midfield with a Pogba, I'm immensely. I might even become a Juventus fan.
Love it. And Locatelli being there too. And I do see reports that in the transfer window they still want to bring in a player that is Leandro Paredes, that is in the transfer, the short list of players that Galtier doesn't want at PSG. And Paredes, I feel like, would be good with Allegri. But the biggest reason why I'm doubtful on Juventus is Allegri, is the coach. I do not know if Allegri will do it with the competition level that I see from Milan, from Inter, and Roma too. So, but Milan too. I love how you said that about Leeds. It's true. How doesn't Milan, a European giant in the history of football heritage, once again said, Milan is competing with Leeds to sign a player? Like, this is modern day football, man. Like, example, clear. Charles de Ketelaere, 40 million. Full.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a reason why, Serie A, I really don't understand. Well, the finances are still tenuous at best in Serie A, but the fact of the matter is Juve was able to get their man eventually. They had to overpay for him. What normally in an internal Serie A move, Bremer is moving from Torino to Juventus. Normally that internal fee does not cost so much up front, and this time around it did, mainly because Torino knew Juventus really had nowhere else to turn. They had already loaned out Dragusin. They've shipped off. Well, Chiellini has moved on to a new adventure in LA. That's off to a very good start for him. You have a 35-year-old Bonucci.
And you have an they had an Inter bid too. So it's
and Demiral's gone as well. And they had to get Bremer. They absolutely, in my mind, had to get Bremer. So they did everything they could to do it. And to be honest, they need one more. They need another center back if they're going to compete again this season. But man, do I like the front of their roster. But yeah.
So people, put down below your thoughts about Serie A. Who's going to win the Scudetto, the top goal scorer, transfers that we didn't say. And yeah, just put down below your thoughts. And yes, staying in other leagues, Bayern Munich, we got to shout out the decision-making of Bayern Munich, that they don't get to the stage of these Serie A teams because they make decisions profoundly, in my opinion. And getting a player like Matthias Tell at 17, paying 28 million, is a bold decision, but it's wise, in my opinion, because a striker that with the quality that Tell has at Stade Rennes can distinguish from any youngster at his age. And that's why Bayern Munich are so invested on Matthias Tell, because there's no strikers in the horizon in world football at a cheap price.
It's true.
So Matthias Tell, boom.
It's true, but the kid is 17 years old.
I agree.
The kid is 17 years old. He has played 49 minutes in League One. 49 minutes.
Bold.
Now, granted, he looked great in those 49 minutes, but 49 minutes in League One. So basically, you're going off of promise. You're going off of, this is very different than Dortmund bringing in Dembele after he already tore things up in League One from Stade Rennais, right? Very different than that. And this is also different than the last time they shipped out a lot of money for a really, really high-end teenage player. It was a certain Renato Sanchez at 18 years old. Well, and what happened previous to that? Well, Renato Sanchez led Benfica to a title.
Yeah.
He was the golden boy that year. I mean, that guy did everything he could to earn a 35 million euro move.
Right? But at the time, Ancelotti, like the context, he didn't even play Kimmich. I always say, like the context, like but I agree with you. Like
Yeah.
it's a bold move. I definitely agree.
Listen.
But Matthias Tell comes to Bayern as a rotation player, and I fully believe by them getting Matthias Tell, they are saying that you're gonna be the third option, and Gnabry will stay, Sané will stay, Coman stays, and now we have, I gotta say, Sadio Mane, which was awarded the best African player. Okay, which. Big up on Sadio Mane, African Player of the Year, more than deserved Sadio Mane. And yeah, just Matthias Tell, you will learn with all these pieces and development-wise.
Well,
we often highlight Dortmund, but he will become a beast at Bayern.
Stade Rennais, dude. Stade Rennais. Listen,
True.
if you don't, this is not me pouring cold water on this transfer at all. And in fact, I do think that this transfer is going to work out for them. I think Matthias Tell is going to be a world-class striker. Unfortunately, you add another element. I think one of the biggest reasons Alphonso Davies was such a surprise and so amazing when he was signed at a similar age for 10 million euros. Bargain is because the price tag, albeit the price tag was high for Major League Soccer standards, it was not high for European standards to where everybody was like, now we're expecting something from him. I saw tweets saying that Bayern was willing to give Matthias Tell the 9 jersey from the get-go.
What?
I mean, come on.
Nah.
If there's any grain of truth to that, it probably isn't. I don't know. I might have gotten whatever.
That was bold. But giving the number
man,
9 that Lewandowski took all those years to build up a legacy, we all know giving those numbers fast. The pressure that it can put on these youngsters, man. Pedro got the number 8, but it was after having the seasons that he had. So, hey,
but let's be honest. They're not going to buy this kid to not play him. So you're right. Rotationally, I mean, Bayern's going to play enough fixtures next season where Matthias Tell is going to get the run out. He's going to get a whole lot of a chance to show what he can do. And I'll be honest. I mean, you see Paul Warner, Matthias Tell, you see Jamal Musiala, who's not too much older than them. I mean, there is a core of players that I'm here for with Bayern. They're building, Nagelsmann is building a different way. And this is a departure. This is 100% a departure from the normal transfer policy that is Bayern Munich.
True, and they got the Ligue too. I feel like the Lewandowski money was like Lewandowski money. Yeah. Oh, we might as well get the best young center back in the world, in our opinion, because we saw Lewandowski and we didn't even expect it. So Brazil does those moves, those bold moves with the youth. So I am very excited for what's to come with Bayern Munich. And I just want to say Barcelona, a quick shout out, because Barcelona is always something that I like to talk about in the podcast. And it's something that I want to say to all the listeners, and because my haircut is inspiring me, I went a bit bolder. So I want to just say this, that I believe this will happen. Not this season, but the next season. Messi is going to come back to Barca 100% next season. Not this season, the next season. Because I already see Laporta saying he didn't get the ending that he deserved at Barca. And he's in debt with Lionel Messi. And that is fucked, okay? I fully believe that Messi knows that Barca will go crazy for him, not this window, the following window. And I believe a 1-year deal to make that ending at Barca be great will happen, okay? So I just wanted to shout out.
Leo, don't do it.
No, go to Barca. Yes, why not go to Barca?
Move on.
Why not?
Move on. There's all this, this guy, look up the word jawboning. Joan Laporta is very good at jawboning. And my goodness, in one breath, he can say we can't do this, we can't do that. And in another breath, well, we have these economic levers. We can do this and we can do that. We have upwards of 200 million to spend. I mean, it's exhausting.
But
run. Leo Messi, run for the hills. Don't go back to Barca. It's the X you don't need. It's the X you don't need. Okay? Move on and chart your own path elsewhere. I'm just saying.
After PSG, like if he goes bold, the boldest in the world. I do believe the World Cup is a doubt. Like how good he is in the World Cup too. So, but MLS, we have said it in the past, but I legit believe, people, listeners, that Messi will return for one season to Barca and maybe go to the MLS afterwards. So I'm just gonna say that one. Just gonna say
the way that they treated Messi, the way everything around all of this craziness, they're gonna be at some point in this situation again. Okay, I don't know when. And everybody's right. Everybody's right in the comment section that no, we don't have all the answers to their financials and all the creative accounting that is leading to them being able to, but we do know they are mortgaging off their future. And if this does not hit, if these signings do not hit and lead to a whole bunch of Champions League money, right, then they will be in the same position with a much less brighter future. But they're all banking on what? They're all banking on a Barcelona image that has been built in the last 10, 15 years. I know it goes back beyond that. Yes, they're building on that on Xavi too. But in the end, at some point, if they're not careful, the gleam will wear off. That shimmer in your eye when you hear the word Barcelona will wear. It will go away. With
Gavi and Pedro, I'll be honest. And Lewandowski now there, I don't think it will. But I'll be honest, economically, they have to solve things. And I said for Man United, I look, even in the pod, I'm trying to help Barca, saying that Barca go to United my days. Oh my gosh, if they get Frankie and Depay United, that is 100 million solved. So, but I agree with you. Like seeing Conde, all these transfers, it puts an eyebrow up. It's true, but I believe Conde will happen. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that in the pod, definitely in the next one. Because there will be a decision, just like Ronaldo too, if Chelsea or Barcelona too, with Conde. So, but Rafinha, what a goal against Real Madrid in that preseason. Nice and at the start of the season, we might see Lewandowski, Fati, Rafinha, because that puts the competitiveness of Dembele to get that right wing spot that he has to deserves, and that's why I believe Rafinha is.
I'm with you. Rafinha was good in that game. I stayed up way too late to watch a good portion of that game. It was a terrible giveaway to set Rafinha up for that goal. But that goal was,
Sheesh.
I mean, that was not a great game from Rudiger. And I think it's all clear if you're watching the Clasico in Las Vegas. It's pretty damn clear that Real Madrid needs a backup striker and they need him stat.
Fucked. I agree totally. And that's why Gabriel Jesus, like we mentioned in the past, was a target just to be a rotation piece. When you have Militão, Vinicius, but they needed to get the nationalization, I think, of a Brazilian player. So Vinicius will become Spanish or get a passport. So yeah, they need options.
The crazy thing here is that we are going to hear over the next 6 months. This is what I don't get, even with Real Madrid, because they're not like the richest people out there either. These are cash-strapped clubs, okay, with massive clout. Massive legacy, massive history. There is no doubting that. But ultimately, once again, in the next 6 months, they're going to be fighting over a 50 to 75 million rated Endrick, right? And they will be fighting tooth and nail. They will literally, basically, like they almost got to blows on the field in Las Vegas, right? They literally almost fought each other. Just picture the administrations doing that. They're going to be going blow for blow trying to get Endrick to sign up.
Fucked.
Who is going to I don't know, create that much clout that they can actually needle their way in there and give Endrick an out. But I don't know. It's just amazing to me how we talk so much about their finances, the whole Super League craziness, that once again, we will be talking about a 16-year-old getting, it's amazing.
It's unbelievable, man. And Super League will be seen again next season. A bunch of chat, a bunch of news about all these people because wanting the Super League, there's directors of football, because we mentioned in the pod Milan is competing with Leeds for a player like the Ketteler. So that's why a team like Milan is desperate for a Super League to happen, so they don't have these types of financial like battles to get a player with this amount of quality. But mentioning Super League, just gonna say this fast before our topic ending the pod. It's There's a player in PSG, man, that every single listener of FC Wonderkid has to remember, and that is Warren Zaire Emery. This kid is a midfielder from 2006. 2006 that is balling at PSG. This player can play first team football next to Messi, next to Verratti, next to Neymar. Warren Zaire Emery, the future of France in midfield. And I might say this. He is, since Camavinga, the player that I believe can break all the records for France at PSG. He has to get a chance next season. And I'm saying this for a player that's it's 16. So please, people, go watch the tape on Warren. I don't want to get it wrong. Warren Zaire Emery, okay? 2006. Sheesh.
Yeah, and at PSG, I don't know, man. I mean, they're bringing in Nordi Mukiele. They're making a lot of moves here, but ultimately, just please leave that DM position alone. Leave that midfield alone, and let Zaire Emery have his shot. Let him prove you wrong. I never like hyping a 16-year-old so much, but he's probably, if I had to list, prospects their age, he's in the top two, if not the top one up there. So
definitely.
And the funny thing is they have other guys in there, like El Shaddai is nothing to sneeze at. Like, he's a phenomenal center back prospect. He is massive for his age. It's just a matter of whether or not PSG gives him the chance, like Stade Rennais gives the chances to their youngsters. And another, if we're going to talk about Ligue 1, Bolokian, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he's a center back prospect for Stade Rennais. I think he's going to get a bunch of game time this season in Ligue 1 for Stade Rennais. Another guy to watch. So once again, France just continues to deliver.
So with PSG, it's like new coach Galtier that has been reported strict rules. And for Neymar, that is the best environment that he can have before a World Cup 2. Then he has to go both pro Hexa do Brazil. So Galtier is helping Neymar for the Brazilian conquer the World Cup. Nah, I'm joking. But Neymar has said, I want to stay. And that is something that he's vocal saying, I want to stay. So that's what we got to see. And I like to see that. And Kimpembe, I don't know if he's going to Chelsea. There's a lot of chatter about that. So let's wait and see. But if it's 17 million, I feel like PSG would be more than happy to let him go for that amount. So
I would be. I mean, I don't care if if a billion means nothing to me. 70 million for Kimpembe is way too much. And that's a deal. That's a deal.
Tuchel must want him. Tuchel must want him. And Tuchel
he doesn't like him.
must want a center back, man. So it's like...
Yeah, he doesn't like anyone else in his team. So he wants somebody he can like, I suppose.
Shit, fuck.
Tuchel is, he is incredibly relatively negative heading into this season.
True. And if there's any last shout you want to say on the transfer front, Breton?
No, we hit a lot, and I'm immensely surprised at Ajax. I know we talked about the incomings, but they let Tagliafico go so unceremoniously. For like 4 million euros. Lyon got him, and I get it. His contract was coming up and all that fun stuff. But this guy, 165 games, 16 goals, 22 assists, 3 Eredivisie titles, 2 Dutch Cup wins, got himself a Copa America title because of the momentum. I mean, Ajax just lets him go. On the other side, they let Mazraoui go. I mean, Ajax has to do a better job. And it's funny to say this because they made a whole bunch of money on Haller. But they got to do a better job policing the amount of money they could make.
True.
On these guys that are in their prime. And then they spend all their money on 2 guys they could have kept from day one. Brobby, 16 million euros with some add-ons. They bring in Steven Bergwijn, who a lot of people might not know, but before he moved and made his career at Feyenoord, at PSV, not Feyenoord, at PSV, he was a Ajax Youth Academy player for 6 seasons. He was a cast-off. He moved to PSV. PSV turned him into what he was, and Ajax buys him back for 31 million euros. So it's one of the very few times we look at Ajax, and my eyebrow, I can't actually do the one eyebrow up type sitch. But ultimately,
I'll try.
Ajax, you're weird. You're really weird. I don't know how best to say it, but I do think that they are more vulnerable in the Eredivisie this season than I think most people are pricing in.
And they did get Calvin Bassey for 20 million, which is not something that we're used to seeing Ajax spend that amount of money for a center back.
Yeah.
So things are different now in modern football. And it's true. I agree with you. With the fullbacks, Ajax should have done a better job. I agree. Totally, in my opinion, too. And Gravenberch 1 year. If he was 2-3 years, he would have been more than 20 million.
That's a steal for Bayern. Absolutely. They got Mazraoui, they got Gravenberch, and they're... But I do have to say one more thing, and that's it. It's not a long one. I just have to say Chris Richards, U.S. center back, can also play at fullback. There's a good chance he is going to be finally signing the dotted line on that Crystal Palace move. So I want to see it. And apparently, we're loading up with the U.S. internationals in the Premier League, and if they can do something, and frankly, if Chris Richards can win Patrick Vieira over, I'm an immensely satisfied customer heading into the World Cup.
Vieira has been doing a pretty good job at Palace with the youngsters. That was the secret sauce with Gallagher, Gehi. So I love that. And my final shot is at Flamengo. Okay, I shout out Hulk in the past, and I said a bit of a ditch to Gabigol, which he went bold in the second leg of Copa do Brasil. It's facts, but I am going to highlight a player from Flamengo, which is Pedro, okay? This player, Pedro from Flamengo, has 9 goals and 4 assists in 7 matches. So, Tite, call him up, okay? Pedro has finally found his feet in Brazil, okay? And he had a bit of a blimp in Europe, so I love to see that this man is now ready for the Brazilian national team now, as it seems. So Pedro from Flamengo. Let's see if he gets that shot.
Just don't make the mistake and call the other Pedro. Just
I get you. So yes, people, put down below anything that we've missed that we didn't talk. I will answer, and me and Breton too, down below in the YouTube comment section, anything that you shout out. And yeah, just go bold with it. So, final topic. We just want to put a prediction out there. And for the people that top goal scorer, okay, of the Premier League, top 5, who do we believe, me and Breton, will be in the top 5 debate of the goal scorer next season in the Premier League? So just before you see our shouts, put down below who do you think will be the top goal scorer and the top 5 goal scorer in the Premier League. So, let's shout. Let's go.
Do we want to take this piecemeal, like one at a time, or do we want to just say our 5s?
I don't want to say like this will be ahead of this one, but I want to say 5 that I will believe will be those 5. Because let's be honest, a player like Haaland can be the number 5 if he gets an injury, but he can be number 1 too. So it's like, you know. But yes, I started with that. So yeah, I butchered one. And yes, obviously.
Come on, man. I have rationale down for why I have them in the positioning that they're in, man. You made me do extra work with this. Jeez. All right. Well, top 5. Okay, so who's in your top 5?
I'll put you on the spot with some questions. So, because do you have Salah?
I do. I have Salah. Absolutely.
And Darwin.
No, I don't have Darwin.
So Darwin Núñez, top 5 goal scorer. That was my doubt if he was going to be in my top 5 goal scorer in the Premier League. And it's bold to say right now that I fully believe he will be in the top 5 goal scoring list of the Premier League. I believe that. Darwin Núñez. So,
you do?
Yes. And ahead of Mo Salah, it's difficult.
Absolutely.
That's why I was asking you this. That's why, because they have to divide the goals.
They do. Obviously, we've seen in the past Sadio Mane. Woo. Sadio Mane, and we've seen Mo Salah up at the top of the Golden Boot table as long as, when was Aubameyang in here? Was it 2018, 2019? They all had, I think, 22 at the top of the table. So it is feasible to have 2 up there, right? And as we saw with Tottenham last year, Son was doing the heavy lifting while Harry Kane took a nap for half the season. And then, Harry Kane picked it back up and ended up with 17 goals or so. So I'm looking at it and saying Mo Salah is unobstructed. He has no World Cup. And point. I have him finishing 3rd. I think it's going to be an incredibly close Golden Boot race.
I agree.
And I have him in third. He's my third position. But Mo Salah is unencumbered. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be pissed off, which is basically the same thing as having a chip on his shoulder. And he's going to have a depth of a supporting cast that is, I mean, they haven't even gotten rid of Firmino yet.
I agree.
So you've got Sadio Mane. Goodness, you've got Luis Diaz.
Yes.
You've got Darwin Núñez. You've got Mo Salah. And then you've got Diogo Jota, who knows the league, who scores in the league. And to be honest, he probably would have scored more last year. If it weren't for, I don't know. But ultimately, you really don't think that translates to you think Sadio Mane was like the missing, the piece that led to Mo Salah being so damn consistently at the top of the Golden Boot standings?
I love your points, man. And it's true that Salah has a chip that he's not in the World Cup. He will have those months too. But like Darwin, we saw against Leipzig, he can score 4 goals out the bat. And he is the player that I believe has the best first touch shoot in the first touch shot in the Premier League when he arrives. Okay, so I really have high expectations on Darwin, but it's the confidence. If he has a tough mental start in the Premier League, I will say I'm wrong, and I believe Salah will be that guy. But I'm hoping that Klopp has this prepped with Darwin, and he's mentally ready. So, yeah, I just had to put Darwin because the possibility is of a player that can get 25, 30 and compete with the likes of Haaland. And yes, so say you're like, I see you got it all ranked up. So
I got it ranked up. So you might as well feed me to the sharks here because I'm going to get destroyed. All right, I'll start with 5.
Okay.
5, you know, I see him as a little bit of a dark horse. We've already talked about him. But I do think there will be a dark horse in the top 5. Whoa, what an amazing, you know,
I agree.
Whatever, bold take ultimately, and that was sarcasm. But Gabriel Jesus is going to be 5th for me. He's leading role. The way that we see this team kind of coming together, there will be chances for him, and it's whether or not he puts him away. And I know people are going to go back and say, well, he didn't do this for Manchester City. But Manchester City, obviously, I mean, they had 15 goals from De Bruyne last year, you know, basically a strikerless season. And he could never nail down being that striker, Jesus, for Manchester City. So, yeah, that's 100% a issue. But ultimately, I think Arteta didn't go out and spend the $50 million for him to just have him be a rotational player. I think he will be the focal point, and he'll either put up or shut up. And frankly, right now, I'm leaning more on the side of him putting up and being in that top 5, although there are other dark horse names. My 4... But
the build-up play, like with Jesus, man. So let me ask you this with the goal scorers. So if you put Jesus, you believe Gabriel Jesus will get more goals than Raheem Sterling next season? Yes? No? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because I think with Tuchel, I mean, Tuchel hasn't had Mount was 11 goals last season.
Yeah,
right?
And that's why I believe Sterling went. Because Havertz isn't that guy. Sterling can be more of an inside forward. I believe Raheem Sterling will be the top goal scorer of Chelsea next season. So I was just curious to know your thoughts on that one.
I do too. I agree that he'll be probably the leading scorer, but ultimately I think it's actually more likely that he provides the attention that's needed that has not been provided on that right wing or left wing or either wing, essentially. Left wing, sorry. That will lead a Kai Havertz or a Timo Werner to actually get a goal haul this coming season, barring a new striker signing. Or I don't know. It's pretty clear that he's not going to really give Broja the choice or the chance that maybe he deserves. So I think just the way that Arteta is building the Arsenal build-up, I do believe that Gabriel Jesus could be there. I also believe, though, that you could very well swap it with a Bukayo Saka. I mean, I really think Bukayo Saka is on the precipice, of really, really putting together a complete, as if last year wasn't complete already, but an even more complete season than he's already delivered for Arsenal when they were at their worst and then trending upwards near the end of the year.
But
so
I believe he'll be more of a provider, though. But I love that shout that he will definitely have an increase with his goals. But that's the thing. Jesus got to be that target guy. Building up the play, but putting those goals. So, yes. I love that number 5. I disagree.
Well,
I won't put Jesus in my top 5. So
but would you put Sterling? Did you have Sterling in yours?
My biggest doubt between Sterling is Sterling and Son. Because, yes, Son will put numbers, but there's another player that went to Tottenham, which was Richarlison, that I feel he will steal a bunch of goals to Son next season. And Sterling, I believe, will be in the top 5 top goal scorers in the Premier League. So that's why. That's my thinking. It's Son will be competing now with Richarlison. So
yeah, well, maybe I went too deep into this, but I also feel like, listen, no matter what you throw at Son, no matter what you throw at Son, this guy, pencil him in for at least 20 goals across all competitions. He's done it previously. True. He does it when Harry Kane's asleep. He does it when they try and bring in a striker that ultimately flops. He does it whenever he needs to do it. Son will find his 20-plus goals for the season. Maybe not in the Premier League, but my guess is I have him at 4th because I'm not yet convinced that Richarlison will steal goals. I just think that their offense will be that much stronger.
I agree. But Kane didn't score a bunch of goals in the middle of the seaon too. So it's like
I know, man.
Son had that target man responsibility and I gotta know your top 5 now. I'm curious, man.
Well, I mean, you basically just okay. Well, 5 is Gabriel Jesus.
Yes.
4 is Son.
Top goal scorer.
3, I still think, and I think it's going to be a close race, but I think Mo Salah will be 3rd. I still think he's going to be the big man, and he's been the Golden Boot winner for the last 3 out of the last 5 years.
Exactly.
He knows what he's doing.
He's
fine.
That's fucked.
And he will find his goals in a Klopp setup.
But he never had a Darwin at Liverpool.
Well, that is true. That is true. Just like we don't yet know if Erling Haaland is going to stay healthy and all that fun stuff. And that's my only worry. But I do have, just for the fact that the Premier League, there are very few instances, except maybe Aubameyang and maybe 1 or 2 others, where a player comes in and ultimately just breaks the league, right? And scores a bunch of goals. And fights for the Golden Boot. I think I just said Golden Boot. The Golden Boot. Aubameyang had 22 goals in his debut when he came over from Borussia Dortmund. I honestly do believe Erling Haaland will be absolutely fine this season. Anyone that's saying the Premier League is too hard is too this. There's no way Haaland's going to do what he did. You know, the Bundesliga is a farmers league. I don't believe any of that.
I feel like he'll do better. I feel like he'll do better at Man City because
he's at Man City.
He never had De Bruyne giving him goals. And another player I feel like will be levels above next season is Foden. Foden is hyped with Haaland. We saw it at the end of that game. Like talking to Haaland non-stop. So I feel like that's the duo. Just like Son and Kane, we'll be talking about Foden and Haaland in the next few years. So.
But here's what it comes down to for me. I still can't put him above the man himself. Harry Kane fell asleep last season. He had 1 Premier League goal. From all the way for the first 4 months of the season, he had 1 Premier League goal.
I agree.
1. Okay. And he wound up still with 17 goals. Okay. This guy, okay, he is 3-4 goals away from being the 3rd all-time Premier League scorer at the age of 28. And he's that way for a flippin' reason. I am not going to bet against him yet, even though a monster in a good way like Erling Haaland is coming into this league. Harry Kane deserves the respect, and we do have to understand that Harry Kane is also heading into what we would call that penultimate contract year, that second to last contract year that he needs to perform if he does want to provide himself with an experience elsewhere in the future. So I think you're going to get Harry Kane with a jetpack tied to his butt, and I honestly believe that he could wind up scoring the 26 or 27 or so that he did many years ago under Poch? I think it was under.
Yes.
Yeah. But he needs 26 goals. You ready for this? He needs 26 goals to overtake Wayne Rooney for 2nd all-time on the Premier League goal-scoring list.
Whoa.
I don't know if he'll do it this season, but if you get an Antonio Conte offense working the way we think it can, he's going to have every ability to put 26 goals in the
And
back of the net.
Kulusevski there since January. It won't be it won't be Kulusevski all of a sudden in the middle of the season. He'll have those players. And I love it how you set it with Conte. Conte is the piece that Kane never had at Tottenham. And I agree with you. He will be the top goal scorer in the Premier League next season with Antonio Conte too. I agree with you, Breton, on this one. But with the top 5 in no specific order, I know I said Kane. I feel like he will be the number 1. But in the top 5 goal scorers in the Premier League prediction next season, I feel like Sterling will be there, Darwin, Salah, Kane, and Erling Haaland, okay? And yeah, I know I'm sleeping on Son, man. Son, it should be ahead of Sterling maybe. But like, yeah, it's just, I believe Sterling needs to be the goal scorer for Chelsea because they don't have that. They don't have that guy.
Now I did notice that within your 5, obviously the sun is set on Cristiano Ronaldo being a part of United in your mind for this coming season.
No. This is Ronaldo. Season. This is Ronaldo. Like I believe Ronaldo will not be there. Will not be at Man United. So
I'm with you. And with that, it creates an opportunity for United. In my opinion, somebody has to step up and fill those goals. Otherwise, it's going to be another very dreary year for Manchester United fans.
Will be in the top 5 goal scorer.
No, but they can platoon it. And I don't think you're right that the goals will be concentrated in one place. But I do think that if you are forced to ride Anthony Martial into this season, there's a good chance he's going to find double-digit goals. He will. There's a good chance Jadon Sancho could blow us all out of the water and have himself a breakout season in the Premier League, right? And probably in assists. You're right.
He can become the top assister next season. That wouldn't be shocking if Ten Hag gets him fueled up as he wants to. So I like it.
Yeah, the way he treated Anthony at Ajax.
We should do top assister next.
This is good. There are other players that I do believe are dark horses. I think if you have a Haaland, you already mentioned Foden. I'm going to say it right now. Don't count out Riyad Mahrez. Don't count out Riyad Mahrez at all.
I like that.
Especially when you're fighting on all sorts of fronts. If Mahrez is the Premier League guy, which I don't think he was. I think he was more the European League guy last year. Yeah, so maybe this is kind of a point.
It's true, but I agree with you. Like Mahrez will have to step up if he wants that contract. So yeah, the numbers. I agree. Richarlison too. We mentioned fast. Like he could be the guy at Tottenham that all of a sudden, whoa, Scamacca.
You never know.
Mentioned in the podcast too. Like he could have a breakout season at West Ham too. So
and Jared Bowen hadn't yet broken out, hadn't yet figured out the Premier League when Sebastian Haller was signed. Okay. True. So I do think if Scamacca, I think a key to Scamacca getting off the board, key to Scamacca, having a double-digit season goals is going to be whether or not Jared Bowen can continue his kind of ridiculous form like he continued last season. But I also have one other person that two other people. One is Crystal Palace. Okay, Wilfred Zaha has a better supporting cast. Crystal Palace has an identity. Wilfred Zaha had 14 goals last season. He I think is not Mr. I need to get the heck out of Crystal Palace this particular season. So who knows? Maybe he's so at home he can hit for 17, 18, 19. Do I think 17, 18, 19 gets you in the top 5 of the Premier League
next season?
Race? Probably not this season. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and then the only other one I want to throw out there is one that's definitely going to get beaten up. Okay. I love what Aston Villa has done. I love that Coutinho's in there for 20 million. They brought him in. I love that Kamara has been brought in to really shore up that midfield and provide depth. Absolutely underrated. And I think that one of the two, of Danny Ings or Ollie Watkins, who at the moment have a very love-hate relationship with most Aston Villa fans because, you feel like they should score more than they do. But I'm going to pick Ollie Watkins to have kind of a breakout season. Now, breakout season, he had 11 goals and 14 goals in the last 2 seasons. Okay? So Villa fans want and they expect more from a $30 million, championship signing. or 30 million euro. So ultimately, with Coutinho in there for the full season, with Kamara shoring things up, with Diego Carlos shoring that center back, I really love what Gerrard has done in the transfer window, to the point where I feel like maybe an Ollie Watkins actually starts to put his stuff away. And that's based on karma alone and just developments alone. It's not based on Ollie Watkins becoming a better striker.
And let's be honest, like Ollie Watkins wants to be in the English national team, and now you have Tammy Abraham doing bits in the Serie A. So now everyone has to step up. So a player like Ollie Watkins can't be in a debate with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That isn't a team like Everton going down, down, down. So I agree with you. He's got to step up. And he's got to be maybe in the top 5. Maybe. But Haaland, definitely, if the injuries come, we might be, not have Haaland in this top 5. And a player like Alvarez, Foden was the player that got double digits first in goals and assists last season for Man City. So he can do that. He can do that. So, but De Bruyne setting him up. People, put down below your thoughts about the top 5 Premier League goal scorers. We want to know what are your thoughts and who do you think will be the most prolific in the Premier League. And if you enjoyed this podcast until now, episode 65, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to FC Wonderkid on YouTube and Spotify so we can go bolder on those Spotify charts. Thank you for listening to episode 65 until now, and please do not forget to go bold, and thank you.